At the funeral, the German shepherd refused to leave the woman's coffin. People whispered, thinking it was grief. But when the doctor leaned closer and checked, what he discovered made the entire room gasp. The truth hidden beneath that moment was shocking, something no one could have imagined. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. From the moment she brought the German shepherd home, their bond was undeniable. The spirited pup with sharp amber eyes quickly became more than a pet. He was her shadow, her protector, her confidant. To her, he wasn't just a dog. He was family. She would often say, "If anything ever happens to me, I know he'll never leave me." Friends laughed it off, but she meant every word. And when tragedy struck, when illness stole her strength and silence filled her home, the German shepherd proved her right. In her darkest hour, his loyalty did not waver. It began, quietly, a cough, a fatigue she couldn't shake. Soon hospital visits replaced her daily walks, and the once lively woman grew weaker each week. Through it all, her German shepherd never left her side. He lay at her feet during long nights, ears alert, guarding her against the unknown. Doctors tried everything, but the illness spread faster than hope. Machines hummed, monitors beeped, and her breathing grew shallow. The shepherd pressed his head against the hospital bed, whining softly, begging her to hold on. Nurses tried to move him, but he refused. Then came the morning when the monitor flatlined. Silence filled the room. The woman was gone. Still, the shepherd stayed, eyes fixed on her face, refusing food, refusing to leave. When they wheeled her body away, he followed, and when her coffin was lowered into the chapel, he climbed, beside it, settling against her, keeping the promise he had always lived by: never to leave her side. The chapel was filled with silence, broken only by soft sobs and the rustle of tissues. White lilies lined the aisles, their fragrance heavy in the air, a painful reminder of a life cut short. Friends and family stood together, heads bowed, yet all eyes kept drifting toward the coffin at the front. Inside lay the woman, dressed in her wedding gown as per her family's wishes, an image of purity and peace. But it wasn't the flowers or the gown that stole everyone's attention. It was the German shepherd, stretched across her coffin, refusing to move. From the moment the casket arrived, the dog had leapt up, resting his head on her chest as if guarding her even in death. Ushers tried to gently pull him away, but he growled softly, his body pressed firmly against hers. No one had the heart to force him down. Whispers rippled through the mourners. Some wept harder at the sight. Others shook their heads in disbelief at the depth of his loyalty. "He knows," one whispered. "He knows she's gone." Yet to the shepherd, this was not an end. His eyes never left her face, and his heart seemed to wait for something no human could yet understand. As the ceremony went on, the shepherd became the silent center of attention. While the priest spoke, his quiet whines and heavy breathing echoed louder than any words. His chest pressed against the woman's still body as if he could keep her alive by staying close. Mourners whispered through tears. "I've never seen anything like this," one said. "He truly believes she'll wake up." Others shifted uneasily. "It's as if he knows something we don't," another whispered, eyes locked on his desperate gaze. Gentle voices tried to coax him down, but he refused. His head remained on her chest, ears flicking as though listening for a heartbeat only he could sense. The air grew heavy. Was this just grief, or something more? His devotion felt less like mourning, and more like a mystery no one yet understood. Hours passed, yet the German shepherd refused to move. His paws clung to the coffin, his head pressed against the woman's arm as though waiting for her to stir. Mourners came and went, but his eyes never left her face. Then his behavior changed. He nudged her hand with his nose, licked her fingers, and pawed softly at her chest, sounds escaping him that felt more like pleading than grief. The chapel fell silent, chills running through the crowd. "He's acting like she's alive," someone whispered, Attempts to pull him away failed. He snapped back to the coffin each time, tail tucked, eyes desperate. He refused food, ignored water, and barked sharply whenever they tried to close the lid. Unease rippled through the mourners. This was no longer just sorrow, it felt like a warning. And a chilling thought gripped every heart. What if the shepherd was right? Among the mourners sat a doctor who had treated her during her illness. But his eyes weren't on the coffin, they were on the German shepherd. The dog's whines, the nudges, the refusal to move. Something wasn't right. Animals don't act this way without reason, he whispered. This isn't just grief. Memories of rare cases flashed in his mind. Patients declared dead too soon, pulses too faint for machines to catch. And now, a dog refusing to believe she was gone. Finally, the doctor rose. I need to check, he said firmly. Gasps filled the chapel. Some protested, but he didn't stop. The shepherd's desperate eyes met his, almost urging him forward. Kneeling beside the coffin, he pressed 2 fingers to her wrist. For a moment, nothing. Then, faintly, a pulse. Gasps filled the chapel as the doctor pressed his stethoscope to her chest. His brow furrowed, then his eyes widened. Wait, there's something, he whispered. For a heartbeat, the room went still. The German shepherd barked sharply, tail thumping once against the coffin, as if demanding the truth. The doctor stood. His voice cracked through the silence. She's alive. Chaos erupted. Some screamed, others sobbed. Alive? That's impossible. She was declared dead. But the doctor was already shouting, "Call emergency services now!" The shepherd whined frantically, licking her hand, urging her to wake. She wasn't gone at all. Her body had slipped into a coma, mistaken for death. Panic turned to action. Family wept, nurses rushed forward, trembling hands working quickly. And through it all, the shepherd stood guard, his loyalty finally vindicated. He hadn't been mourning. He had been saving her. The truth was undeniable. The dog had sensed life where humans had failed. The chapel turned into an emergency ward within minutes. Relatives lifted the woman carefully from the coffin as paramedics rushed in. Oxygen masks were strapped on, IVs readied. The faint rise of her chest drew a collective gasp of relief. The German shepherd barked with joy, circling her, tail wagging wildly. When her fingers twitched, he pressed his nose to her palm, as if guiding her back. Her pulse is stabilizing, a medic announced in disbelief. She's coming back. Tears flowed freely. Family members knelt by the dog, whispering, "You saved her. You knew." The doctor's voice shook. Machines failed, charts failed. But this dog didn't. As the stretcher rolled out, the shepherd followed close, unwilling to let distance come between them. Phones captured the moment. Death turned to life, despair to hope, all because of a dog's unshakable love. And in that instant, everyone understood. Sometimes love itself is the sharpest instinct of all. Days later, the woman opened her eyes in the hospital. Her family rushed to her bedside, but her first whispered words weren't for them. "Where's my dog?" Moments later, the shepherd bounded in, tail wagging, whining with relief as he pressed against her hand. Her tears flowed, his eyes shone, reunited at last. News of the miracle spread everywhere. People spoke not of medical error, but of a love so strong it defied even death. Her story became a living testament. Never underestimate a dog's devotion. Sometimes it carries more power than the sharpest human eyes.